Ladies and gentlemen, this is pretty amazing. Trump 7, DeSantis 1 in battle for scoring Florida congressional districts or endorsements. Florida Republican Congress members are beginning to line up behind their picks for 2024 Republican presidential nomination, and so far, former President Donald Trump has the edge among Florida Republican delegation. This is a CBS News article. 7-1 already. Advantage in terms of Congress people choosing Donald Trump over Ron DeSantis. This is obvious. Media has not leveled its entire animus, ferocity, disdain, contempt, venom towards DeSantis. Okay, DeSantis is the pick of never Trumpers. I like DeSantis, but he is the pick of never Trumpers. And he's the pick of Democrats right now. Not really a pick, but Democrats see him as perhaps a better version of Trump. I don't know. They think they can defeat DeSantis, or they think that he is just not Trump. So right now, anything that's not Trump, because Trump is the existential political issue for Democrats, it's their mission in life to stop him at all costs because he defeated Clinton. Which is hilarious, because now Clinton is essentially running. She's basically telling the world that she's running. She's in an interview the other day saying, well, he can't win. It's like, well, Trump defeated Clinton. Trump defeated you. And you're saying that he can't win. Now, I think Hillary Clinton will be the 24 nominee. I think that Hillary Clinton will be the 24 nominee. I think this whole thing from the classified data nonsense, everything is an attempt to make things completely relative. Clinton had servers siphoning top secret and special access program data, classified data. It is impossible from a cybersecurity perspective. It is impossible to create servers that are outside the U.S. government that siphon classified emails, that are allowed to accept classified emails. It's not even possible from a cybersecurity perspective. It's a national security nightmare. But Trump has the Mar-a-Lago thing, and he might have obstructed justice. So it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all smoke and mirrors. Democrats get away with 1,000,000 times more. That's not really always going to be the case. We see that's not really the case. If you're a lower level Democrat, you're getting indicted and arrested and going to prison all the time. In Philadelphia and other places too, upstate New York. But Hillary Clinton, I believe, will be the 24 nominee. You can look, there are other articles. Florida Republicans back Trump following DeSantis' visit to D.C. Trump was a great president. We had record low poverty with Trump. Okay, nobody knows this. Nobody cares about this, apparently. Nobody cares about Hillary's servers, which were a national security, criminal act, but also national security nightmare. Nobody cares about the fact that Trump had record low. We had record low poverty in 2019, 3 years into his presidency. Okay. We had 2017, 2018, the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. We had record low poverty, record low unemployment, inflation at 2%, real wages up. Household median incomes higher than they've ever been for almost every demographic group. And you can look at the St. Louis Fed charts. You can look at just articles at CNN. The economy was fantastic with Trump. You can say whatever you like about his personality. The economy was absolutely fantastic with Trump. And that's true. That did happen. He was a great president. What happened was you had scandal after controversy that was contrived, fabricated, manufactured out of thin air. He went into the Oval Office. There was a Steele dossier that Clinton and the DNC purchased and then were subsequently fined by the FEC for purchasing with campaign funding. Trump was never fined, but he was indicted in New York by liberal Democrats who serve as an extension of the Democratic Party, just like Twitter was an extension of the Democratic Party. This isn't rocket science. We can see everybody from Elon Musk to Trump to you watching to anyone that can just... Alan Dershowitz, who voted for Biden, can see this. Everybody can see this. If you are actually in a cult, you think that Trump is an existential political issue, okay? But see, half the country understands. Almost like Trump will always get almost half the electorate. That's without media coverage. Think about that. Hit subscribe with only negative media coverage. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. I'll be back in a couple of hours, ladies and gentlemen. This is huge. Share this everywhere. Go to hagoodman.com to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, and other publications. Sign up for a newsletter. Email me at contactgoodman88@gmail.com. To my Patreons, thank you. My new Patreons, my Patreon link is below. And to the super thanks. The super thanks is below next to the like and the share buttons. Ladies and gentlemen, why do you think Donald Trump is racking up endorsements in Florida? Okay? The reason is because he was a great president. Doha agreement that Biden completely botched. It was a May 1st, 2021 withdrawal. Those Americans, 13 Americans and over 100 Afghans should be alive today. Okay, Biden's administration is a complete failure in pretty much every respect. There hasn't been something they've been successful at doing. So foreign policy is an unmitigated disaster. You had the Doha Agreement debacle with Biden. The Doha Agreement would have worked out with Trump. Maybe not at the end when we left. Yeah, that was always going to unfortunately take place, okay, when we left. But the leaving part had to happen. Democrats would keep Americans there forever. I remember telling a Democrat, or this is a long time ago, I said, well, Trump is removing Americans from harm's way, like he's bringing Americans home. And the response was, well, they're not being shot at. I'm like, what? It's a situation where anything good Trump does, even from a liberal perspective, liberals used to want Americans to be brought home. Anything good that Trump does to the average morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrat is so far overshadowed by what a menace he is within their minds that he can do no right. So they'll come up with these types of things. Well, they're not being attacked. Like, what? Yes, they are, number one. And number two, you're putting Americans within a civil conflict or counterinsurgency quagmire. Like, what are you talking about? These are the same people. You have to understand the psychology of the wonderful, highly educated, morally superior. These are the same people who retweet the Lincoln Project or Bill Kristol. And then they talk about how Trump is a tyrant and authoritarian. It's like, no, he's not. He opposes endless military conflict. That's why what's taking place in Europe, the invasion in Europe, wouldn't have taken place with Trump. Well, it didn't take place. We know that already. It didn't take place with Trump. And he would have pushed for a peace deal. That's the moral imperative of voting for Trump, okay? The system, if you want to call it the system or the prevailing mentality or the status quo. President Obama and George W. Bush were the status quo. I thought President Obama could have been a transformative in terms of foreign policy and economic policy. But he was a different type of status quo, a more liberal side of the same coin. What Democrats, the never Trump Republicans and Democrats, what they do, the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld Lincoln Project Republicans and Democrats, they do pretty much the same thing in terms of foreign policy and pretty much the same thing in terms of economic policy. They're not going to really want to rock the boat. Trump does. Trump engages in tariffs. He was even talking about tariffs against France. Okay? He doesn't care. Like, he's just going to he's just going to work for the interest of the United States of America. Democrats, not so much. Democrats, not at all, really. You look, they keep talking about our alliances, our allies, everything but the country. Our alliances, our allies, the planet. Why don't you just focus on what's good for the country? But they don't do that. Because they don't really have, Democrats don't have any policies. They have ideas that they gravitate towards when it suits them politically and when media can cover up their miserable failures. Like 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves flooded into the country after they pontificate about the environment. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. There's a reason Trump is just racking up endorsements in Florida.